Spent the next several years fighting an addiction and drinking excessively. Married a beautiful gal. We had 2 kids together, and when I was 27, and after 9 years or 8 years of being with me, she finally had enough. She took the kids and left, and that was the beginning of my healing. I didn't want to be the bad father that I had, and yet I was.
Yeah.
So everything I hated, I became. So it's like this revolving door of guilt and anger. I won't get into specifics of everything in that life, but she was gone, and I had been smoking crack. We had been rocking this stuff up. I'm 35 years old by now. And she was gone after about a week, maybe 2. And I'm sitting on Interstate 5 in Tacoma, Washington at Federal Way. And I had ingested so much cocaine that my hand was stuck to the wheel. I couldn't move my hands off the wheel. They were holding it. And I was overdosing. My chest was pounding. My heart felt like it was jumping out of my chest. And I knew I was done. So I laid back and I started crying. And I started to curse at God. I had this, and it got to this point, I don't understand this, but I'll just explain it as best I can. I got to this point where I had this still small voice in my head. And these Sunday school lessons that I learned years ago when I was a kid and growing up started playing over in my mind about the guy named Jonah who ran away from God and got swallowed by a fish. About David who took out a giant with a stone. About Abraham. I'm learning all these stories. I have no idea. They were playing in my mind like a movie, and it was talking to me.
And you'd been out of the church at this point probably longer than you'd been in it.
Yeah, I'd had people that reached out to me and tried to get me. I went and visited and stuff, but, to put on a show or appease the family maybe. But as far as having a relationship with Christ, the answer would be no. I was lost. So so they started playing over me in the car, and for the first time in my life, I had a calm overcoming me. There was like a presence in my car of something it was like a compression of so powerful of love.
Wow.
There was no aisles to walk down. Nobody was preaching at me. But the Holy Spirit was reaching me. And all those seeds that had been sown in my life over the years by youth leaders, pastors, Sunday school teachers were being played over and over.
That's awesome.
For a long time. My hands were gripping the wheel, and I talked to God. And I said, I'm sorry for everything. It was like every wrong thing I had ever done had passed in my mind for the last couple 3 minutes, but I wasn't feeling guilty for them.
Wow.
And my hands started loosening up on the steering wheel. And I made this statement to God. I don't know where I'm going, but you either have to kill me or use me. That's exactly what I told him. And the car was, I'm not hallucinating. It was a glow inside feeling. It was just so powerful. And I was able to turn the car around, and I drove to a convenience store. And I walked inside to get something to drink. And this is the thing, I'd ingested enough cocaine to keep me high for 2 days. But I'm telling you, when I walked out of that car, I was not under the influence of anything. It was gone.
Wow.
I was tired, but the jitters, the influence of that drug was no longer affecting my body within a few hours. And I'm sitting there just understanding one thing, the presence of God. I get my drink, I go up to the counter and I'm paying for it, and there's a magazine, National Enquirer, one of those, and it said, ex-dope fiend turns preacher like father. And I looked at that and I'm going, what? I looked over there and I pulled it out of the rack while I'm waiting to pay my bill, and it's about Ned Graham, Billy Graham's youngest son. And I'm reading this. I'm going, you got to be kidding me, because Mom had taken us to one of his crusades, and I'd actually gone forward. Oh. As a kid, but I didn't mean it. I mean, everybody else was going, so I went.
Sure.
I didn't do the homework they gave me or none of it. I just went. And then I see that he is pastoring on staff at a church in Auburn, Washington, 15 miles from where I was. So I'm sitting there looking at this thinking, I had this compelling thing. I got to go see this guy this Sunday. So I spent 2 days by myself clean. I went to church that Sunday morning. And I'm sitting in the church towards the back, off to the side, incognito, just didn't want anybody to see me there, but it wouldn't matter because nobody would recognize me anyway. But, the thinking is, so I'm sitting there and I'm in church for the first time in a whole different mindset than ever.
Sure.
And they have 5 pastors on staff there, and this was Ned Graham's Sunday to speak. This is no joke. He gets up. He tells us that Ned wrote the foreword to my second book, but I'll get into that. He gets up, and he's holding the same magazine that I saw in the rack. And he says, something a few years ago would have really made me angry about this. It says, ex-dope fiend turns preacher like father. Any of you ever heard me preach? No, I don't preach anything like my father. Everybody laughs.
Hey, thanks for watching this short with us today. And if you like it, check out our full episodes on our channel and website. We'll put those in the links below. And as always, Scott,
like and subscribe. Or subscribe and then like. Whatever order you want, really.
Whatever order you like.
Yeah.
Thanks.